Hello friends, in today's session we will start with the new chapter, that is input output in Java. We have already understood the input output, but we will now listen to it very deeply. Okay, so we will try to understand input output handling in detail. Okay, so this chapter is basically about in detail input output in Java. Now we will provide this chapter will explore the Java IO package, which will provide support for input-output operation. Okay, so in the previous chapter, we presented an overview of Java's input-output system. We will examine now the Java's input-output in detail, in deep, so how these are handled. As all programmers learn, most programmers cannot accomplish their goals without accessing external data. Okay, so learning any language is not only limited to learning how to handle the data or input from user. You should also be able to handle the input output from console, keyboard, and other than console and keyboard, like external files, hard disk drive, pen drive, etc. Okay, so your program should be easy to communicate with the outer world also. Okay, so that your language learning, for example, now we are learning Java language. To deeply learn any particular language, you have to deeply go inside it so that you can communicate through the external world also. So that your program or your project will be more interactive to outside world and it will be more helpful as well. Data is retrieved from input. The results are sent to output. These resources or destinations are defined very broadly. Okay, so those are not limited to only console or keyboard. Okay, the network connection, memory buffer, or disk file can be manipulated by the Java input-output classes. Okay, so network connection can be your memory buffer, a disk file can be manipulated by Java input-output classes. So anything other than console or anything other than keyboard can be your input and output, etc. These devices are all handled by the one abstraction, the stream. Okay, irrespective of your output device or input device is file, is pen drive or external hard disk drive or anything else, it will be handled by the same stream class. We have already understood that class previously, but now we will see in detail. So stream is explained as the logical entity that either produces or consumes the information. Okay, so file can be read from input can be read from file and output can be returned to a file. Okay, a stream is linked to a physical device by the Java input-output system. All streams behave in the same manner even if the actual physical devices they are linked to differ. In addition to the input-output capabilities, Java provides further input-output support in the Java Neo package. So that package we will see in detail in the next upcoming chapter 27. Now we will see the Java input-output classes and interfaces. The input-output classes by Java input-output package are here: buffered input stream, buffered output stream, buffer reader, buffer writer, byte array input stream, byte array output stream, character array reader, character array writer, file writer, filter input stream, filter output stream, filter reader, filter writer, input stream reader, line number reader, piped output stream, piped reader, piped writer, print writer, pushback input stream, pushback reader, and random access file. Okay. Then next are console, data input stream, data output stream, file descriptor, file input stream, file output stream, file permission, file reader, object input stream dot get field, object output stream dot put field, object stream class, object stream field, output stream writer, pipe input stream reader, sequence input stream, serializable, permission stream, tokenizer, string reader, string writer, and writer. Okay, so these are all classes from java.input-output package. Okay, console is extra thing added by Java 6. Java input-output package also contains two deprecated classes that are not shown line number input stream and string buffer input stream. Both are deprecated, and for new code you should not use these two classes, line number input stream and string buffer input stream. Now we will see the interfaces defined by Java input output package. Closable interface, data input interface, data output, externalizable, file filter, file name filter, flushable, object input validation, object output, object stream, constant, serializable. There are many classes and interfaces in the Java input output package. These include byte and character streams and object serialization, the storage and retrieval of objects. Okay, so those all classes and interfaces, we will see them in detail. Now we will see several of the most commonly used input-output components, including classes and interfaces. The new console class is also examined in this chapter. We begin our discussion with one of the most distinctive input-output classes, that is file. The file class we have already introduced in the previous chapter, but now we will see how it is implemented in detail. Okay, so we will start with file, first class, and most important class. There are many classes and interfaces in Java input-output package. Byte character streams, object serialization, storage and retrieval of objects. Okay, and now we will see in detail the file class. Although most of the classes defined by Java input-output operate on streams, file class does not operate on streams. Okay, so it is an exception for that. It deals directly with file and the file system. The file class does not specify how information is retrieved from or stored in files. It describes the properties of file itself. So it does not deal with the stream. It directly deals with the file system. That means file class does not specify how information is retrieved from or stored in files. It describes directly the properties of file itself. File object is used to obtain or manipulate the information associated with disk file, like permission, time, date, directory path, and to navigate subdirectory hierarchy. So what is in short? File directly handles the files. It does not communicate, gives importance to how we are communicating to file itself. Okay, so it will directly relate to file and directly handle the file. Files are primary source and destination for data within any programs. Although there are severe restrictions on their use within applets for security reasons, files are still central resource for storing persistent and shared information. Okay. Java is worldwide used language. Okay. So what is the indication that it is worldwide used? Using applet. Okay. Applets do not permit a file to be handled in your program so that confidential data remains safe. But still, there is a need of file, so that file is a central resource for storing and retrieving the persistent and shared information. Okay, so file is not deprecated. It is still used somewhere in Java programming languages. Directory in Java is treated simply as a file with one additional property, list of file names that can be examined by the list method. Okay, so complete directory that holds the files in that, or complete folder in our Windows environment system, we call it as a folder. If suppose one folder is having 5 Java files, A, B, C, D, E, F, okay, for example. So XYZ folder, if suppose, that folder will also treated as a file, and it will have one extra property. When you will list the files in that, it will be like this, xyz.list. Okay, using that list, what will happen? Whatever files are included in that xyz folder, those will be retrieved directly. Following constructors are used to create file objects: file, directory path, file, string directory path, string file name, file directory object, string file name, and fourth is file URI object. Okay, First is only directory path to create a file at that directory. Second is a directory path and file name. We will specify which will be the file name to create a file. Then file directory object that will have the directory path inside it and file name, and last is URI object. So URI will also contain the path in which your file will be stored. Directory path is the path name of the file. File name is the name of the file or subdirectory. Directory object is a file object that specifies the directory. Okay, so it will be a folder, and URI object is a URI object that describes a complete description of file. Okay, so you have to remember these things. What is directory path, what is directory object, and what is URI object. Okay, so we will see the example that will create three files, F1, F2, F3. The first file object is constructed with directory path. Second includes two arguments, the path and the file name. Third includes the file path assigned to F1 and a file name. F3 refers to the same file as F2. Okay. File F1 is equal to new file /. Second is / auto execute.bat, and third is F1 auto execute.bat. Okay. Java does the right thing with the path separators between Unix and Windows convention. You will only give the / in Windows environment. The path will be resolved directly by your Windows environment using Java compiler. If you are using the Windows convention of the / character, you will need to use its escape sequence double / within a string. So, okay. If you are giving the / only / you will require. If you will give the /, you will have to give the 2 slashes. File defines many methods that obtain the standard properties of the file object. Okay, so all the methods will have the properties of the file object, like file name, date of creation. Okay, like this. Get name returns the name of the file. Get parent gives the name of the parent directory. Exist returns true or false if file exists, otherwise not. The file class, however, is not symmetrical. We mean that there are few methods that allow you to examine the properties of simple file object, but no corresponding function is there to change these attributes. Okay, the file class is not symmetrical, so that there are few methods that are not same as this, so that you will handle all the properties of file. There are few methods available. In that you will only see the property, but you cannot change that property. Okay, like get name and set name is available. If you are getting the name of file, what does it mean? You can see the name of the file. And what is set name? You will set the name of that file. Okay, so you are viewing the property as well as you are changing the property. This is available for name property. But there are some properties or there are some methods. Those will only allow you to see the property. You cannot modify or change that particular property. Okay. Now we will see file methods. File demo. Void p string s, and you are printing this string. First file. Java copyright. File name f1.getName, getPath, getAbsolutePath. These are the very common, very basic functions of the file. Okay, properties of file. F1.getParent will give you the parent. File exists, true or exist. This is the question mark colon. It is existing file or does not exist. Is writable, is not writable. Readable, not readable. Is directory, is not directory. Is a normal file, might be named file. Okay, so if it is a file, it might be a named file. F1 is absolute, is not absolute. File last modified, file size in bytes. Okay. Okay. So name absolute path. Parent is / Java exist. Is writable, readable, not a directory. Normal file is absolute file, and last modified. This is the time in milliseconds. Okay. f1 dot last modified, and file size is 695 bytes. So whatever that file they have provided over here, we can see the output. Okay. Most of the files are methods are self-explanatory. No need to understand or learn. Each file and its absolute are not. Each file returns true if called on a file and false if called on a directory. Okay. So file itself is a file with having a particular extension. It will give you a true result. And if your file is a directory or folder that contains another files in that, so it will return you false. Also, is file returns false for some special files such as device drivers and name pipe. So this method can be used to make sure the file will behave as a file. Okay. So each file will return you false, such as device driver and name pipes. So these methods can be used to make sure the file will behave as a file. Okay. If each absolute method returns true if the file is an absolute path and false if path is related. Absolute path as such, when you start with the drive name up to the direct end, up to end, you are giving the path of the file. For example, if your file Java file xyz.java file is located in the D drive, and in the D drive there is a folder ABC. In that folder you have another folder DEF. In that you have another folder MNO, and so on. Okay. So starting with that D drive /ABC /XYZ up to whatever number of directories are there. After that xyz.java file is existing. This is the absolute path from starting to end. You no need to ask to anyone where your file is located. When you are having the absolute path, you can go to that particular location. Like in your mobile device. Okay. If you are locating a photo, you are trying to find some photo of your memory. Okay. Maybe some months before or years before. Okay. But you cannot locate in which folder it is deciding on. Okay. So what you will do, you will find out its name. For example, you have given a name to that particular photo as memory.png. Okay. And you don't know in which folder you have placed that. So what you will do, you will search for the memory.png in your mobile gallery. Okay. Photo gallery. After that, you will find out that memory.png. For sure, you know that there is a memory.png photo available in your mobile. Okay. It is not lost. It is there, but you cannot find it. So after memory.png, when you click on the photos properties, there will be absolute path from where to where you have to go, so that absolutely you will find the particular memory.png file. Okay. Or photo. So this way, absolute path directly gives the complete destination from source where you have to start and at where you have to end. And second is relative path. Okay. So relative path is like if you are currently residing in folder 1 and your path is relative to from this folder to this folder, you have to go such a way that will be your relative path. Two useful utility methods are also there. Rename to Boolean rename to file new name. Okay. So it will rename to file will be renamed to your new name. The file name specified by new name will be renamed. Okay. It will return true upon success and false if the file cannot be renamed successfully. Okay. If you either attempt to rename a file so that it moves from one directory to another directory, or use an existing file name. Okay. So if you are trying to rename a file such that its location can be changed, or you are using the same name after renaming, it will give you a false. So your file cannot be renamed properly. The second utility method is delete, which deletes the disk file represented by the path of the invoking file object. So when you are giving the file dot delete, first what you will do, you will create a file object. In that you will specify the path of the file where that file is located, and after that you will call the file dot delete. After that, that file will be deleted. If it is deleted successfully, it will return true. Otherwise, it will return false. Okay. You can also use delete on directory, provided if the directory is empty. Okay. If the directory is not empty, you cannot use it. Delete returns true if it deletes the file, and false if file cannot be removed successfully. And some other file methods you will see now. Delete on exit. Remove the file associated with the invoking object when Java virtual machine terminates. Okay. When JVM is done with the job, it will delete that particular file. Long get free space returns the number of free bytes of storage available on the partition associated with the invoking object. Long total space returns the storage capacity of the partition associated with the invoking object added by Java 6. Long get usable space returns the number of usable free bytes of storage available on the partition associated with the invoking object. Okay, so that it will be your usable space, usable free bytes of storage available. Boolean is hidden returns true if the invoking file is hidden. It is not visible. Returns false otherwise. Boolean set last modified long milliseconds. Sets the timestamp on the invoking file to that specified by millisecond, which is the number of milliseconds from January 1, 1970, coordinated universal time. Okay. Boolean set read only sets the invoking file to read only. Methods also exist to mark files as readable, writable, and executable. So you can write the property or mark the property of file like readable, writable, and executable. Because file implements the comparable interface, the method comparative true is always available. Next is directories. A directory is a file that contains a list of other files and directories. One directory can have list of files and directories. Second, when you create a file object and it is directory, the directory will always return true. You can list that directory object so that you can get the list of all the files and directory inside. Okay, so there is an array. It will return string list. So you will have how many directories and files are available inside that. The list of files written in an array of string object. Now we will use the list to examine the contents of the directory. Directory name /Java. New file name directory name. If F1 is directory of directory name, and if it is a directory, it will go inside. First of all, you will check if it is a file or directory, and if it is a directory, you can list and you can have the array. And from the 0 to array length, whatever file names are there, directory name plus s of I. Okay. If F is directory, then again you will tell the user as the output that this particular folder is a directory. It is not a file. Otherwise, that particular is file. Okay. Directory name is not a directory. Okay. Directory of /Java. Bin is a directory, lib directory, demo directory, copyright is a file, readme is a file, index.html is a file, include is a directory, source.zip is a file, source is a directory. Okay. That was very simple thing. Okay. No need to worry about it. Next is using file name filter. You will often want to limit the number of files written by the list method to include only those files that match the certain file name pattern or filter. Okay. So that what you will do, you will limit the number of files written by the list, so that you will only find the particular file name with a particular pattern or filter. Like you have to find the PPT in your Windows environment. What you will do? .ppt. So you will not search for all files. You will only search for PowerPoint presentation. If you want to search for a PDF file in your Windows environment, what you will do? Your pattern will be .pdf. So that only PDF files will be listed. Okay. So this is the general example. So you must use the second form of list, file name filter object. Filter object is an object of a class that implements the file name filter interface, so that it will tell which type of files you have to extract. Only a single method accept, which is called once for each file in a list. Okay, so so file name filter is the interface. It has only one method called accept. And what is the format? Boolean accept file directory string file name. The accept method returns true for files in the directory specified by directory that should be included in the list. Okay. Accept method returns true for the files in the directory specified by directories that should be included in the list, so that file is acceptable or not. Those that file match the file name argument. Okay. And returns false if those files that should be excluded. And this function will be called only once for each file. Only once. That means file is acceptable, it will return true. Like the file, for example, in your general example that I gave, if you are finding for PPT and after search result, your PC is finding out which file? PNG file. So it is not a PPT. So that file will not be included in the list. So it will return false. And if it is finding out the particular file that you are provided, it will return true. Only external class we will see now implements the file name filter. It will be used to modify the preceding program. It restricts the visibility of file names written by list files with names and the file restriction specified extension specified when the object is constructed. Okay. Extension is particular extensions. Like I have given you the example of extension. Extensions can be PDF, .pdf, .png, .document, anything like your PowerPoint file, your PNG file, or your video file. It can be MP4, your audio file, it can be MP3. So when you are searching for a particular file, that particular extensions file will be extracted from the search when you are trying to do it on your Windows environment. And accept method is implemented over here, file directory and string name, return name ends with extension. Okay, and that will be accepted only. Okay, this is implemented over here. Why? Because you will tell the compiler which type of files, which is the criteria for you to find out the file. What is the criteria for over here? Here in this program, the criteria is the name should ends with the extension. If you are providing the extension at PNG, the PNG files only be accepted. If you are providing at runtime or in main, you are providing the PDF, only PDF files will be accepted. Okay. The modified directory listing program, now we will see. Not it will only display files that use the .html extension. Okay. So /Java is a directory name, file name filter only, new only extension HTML and f1.list only. Okay. And for this only HTML files will be listed. Okay. So this particular program that we have seen now, for example, if you are specifying here any particular extension I gave here HTML, you can give here PDF, you can give anything. So this is at runtime. This program's output depends upon your system. Okay. In your /Java directory, whatever HTML files will be there will be listed out. Okay. You can try it on anything. You can give any path over here that is a directory, and that in that directory you can find out any type of extension. For example, you can try out this program on your PC. Like you can specify a folder. First of all, create a folder, any folder XYZ, and place over there create over there any random random number of MP4 files, MP3 files, PDF files, PNG files, and run this program in your PC from Eclipse. Okay, when you will run this program, if you will specify here PNG, in this particular folder only PNG files will be listed. If you are specifying here MP4, only MP4 files will be listed, and so on. Okay, so this way we have seen some interesting topics related to input output in Java. In next session, we will see some more interesting topics so that we can enjoy the file hunting very interestingly. Okay, and we can also enjoy the Java programming overall. Okay, it is very easy to learn, it is very easy to understand, and when you are practicing, you are learning it more, and you will be loving it more. So meet you in the next session with the new topics. Thank you so much.